All right, ladies, we are continuing on with chapter 5 of the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous. We are on page 63 of How It Works. When we left off last time, we were now at step 3. Many of us said to our Maker as we understood him, God, I offer myself to thee, to build with me and do with me as thou wilt. Relieve me of the bondage of self, that I may better do thy will. Take away my difficulties, that victory over them may bear witness to those I would help of thy power, thy love, and thy way of life. May I do thy will always. We thought well before taking this step, making sure we were ready, that we could at last abandon ourselves utterly to him. We found it very desirable to take this spiritual step with an understanding person, such as our wife, best friend, or spiritual advisor. But it is better to meet God alone than with one who might misunderstand. The wording was, of course, quite optional, so long as we expressed the idea, voicing it without reservation. This was only a beginning, though, if honestly and humbly made, an effect, sometimes a very great one, was felt at once. So we'll do a quick brief pause there and discuss that. And so I do like there where it describes that we take this with our wife, our best friend, or a spiritual advisor. Spiritual advisor could be your sponsor. That is a really good definition of what a sponsor does. The sponsor is your spiritual advisor and helps you find your connection to God through the program laid out in this book. It is better to meet God alone than with one who misunderstood. So someone who doesn't know exactly what we're setting out to do might lead you astray when trying to connect with God. And again, it says it in here, this is only a beginning. This is not the be all end all. We don't do this once and pop it on the shelf. This is just the beginning. Once we've established this relationship, we want to grow it and keep growing ourselves. And humbly made, an effect, sometimes a very great one, was felt at once. And usually that can just be the relieving of a bit of anxiety or just that feel of comfort that you have someone there. All right, Connie has her hand up. Connie.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for being here, everybody. My name is Connie, and I am an alcoholic. And, for me, the gift of hearing and being at meetings is they give me a new perspective or a new understanding. And for me, this prayer was very pompous and very like this. And I couldn't say it. It was very difficult to get through it. And somebody at a meeting who had a lot of sobriety and I could connect with had talked about how this really prepares them for what's coming, that, we're asking for help and that I'm going to have difficulties, so I'm going to need some help. And anyways, it's just, it was so helpful to me to have somebody help change my perspective through their words of my understanding of something so that I could understand it and use it as a tool. And so I just wanted to say that. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And yes, it is super important to make sure that we invite God in before we embark on anything past this page. Because, dealing with these things alone was kind of what got us where we are. So it's great to have that God on our side, that strength and direction and, that power. Anyone else on that little bit before we move on? Alrighty, let's continue. Next, we launched out on a course of vigorous action, the first step of which is a personal house cleaning, which many of us had never attempted. Though our decision was a vital and crucial step, it could have little permanent effect unless at once followed by a strenuous effort to face and be rid of all the things in ourselves which had been blocking us. Our liquor was but a symptom, so we had to get down to the causes and conditions. And again, we're going to pause because we're going to break this down because it's really important we get it as we go. So for here, we're saying Now we've got God. We've turned our will and our lives over to the care and attention. We've got him there. We've hooked into our new best friend. So now we're going to launch a course of vigorous action. And like when you're doing the laundry and the wash machine's going like, that's vigorous. Like this isn't just a little bit of a little move and shake. We're going to shake this up. We're just going to get her down. And the first step is a personal house cleaning. I've never done a personal house cleaning before I came into the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. I don't know about you, but this is a vital and crucial step. Vital, so if you go to the hospital or you watch the hospital shows on TV, they take vital statistics. Vital statistics are the ones that say that you are still alive. So we can put life to vital. So if we want to live, we must do this. And they will not have any permanent effect unless at once followed by a strenuous effort to face and be rid of all of the things in ourselves which had been blocking us. So if you can see in my book, this is step 4. And this is everything we've already read. So you can see how many people have read this with me. It's very well worn. And then you can see how many people have continued and done this strenuous effort to face and be rid of all the things. People drop off right here. So we don't want to be part of this percentage. We want to wrinkle up this part of our book. This is the good stuff right here. But this is where people drop off. And my book is a very good example of that. It opens to this page. And then it says, our liquor was but a symptom. We had to get down to the causes and conditions. And of course, it's blocking us from God. Not sure if I said that. Anyone want to continue on this paragraph? Nobody? We're good? Marianne, thank you.
Hi, friends. I am an alcoholic. My name's Marianne. Could have little permanent effect unless at once. I've got above that highlighted and the word now, because I got tripped up on step 3, thinking I had to have an understanding of God before I moved on. Till somebody told me, group of drunks, this program, this is your higher power. You will get to God, but just take this one step that says you can't do it. Maybe this group of drunks has something for you. But let's get going now. Thank you.
That's right. Followed at once. Rip that Band-Aid off. Shante.
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name's Shante. I'm an alcoholic. I just want to say, Kimberly, I can definitely relate to the drop-off because when I originally started AA back in 2016, that's exactly where I stopped in my steps. But it was more out of fear, fear of bringing up, the same reason why I have been drinking all these years, to hide those emotions and stuff. So when I got to this page, I even put, I'm excited to be here today to take that next step. Thank you for letting me share.
Thank you so much. Connie.
Hey, Connie, alcoholic. Just reiterate that I didn't have God at this point. I had a willingness to explore it and to hand over that thinking, which is my ideas and emotions, and my actions, which is my behavior. And that limited little tiny speck of a splinter was the beginning of the experience of finding a power greater than myself. And it started very small. It started with letting me in the door, no matter how miserable I was, letting me not have to share, letting me not have to give a buck, letting me ask questions, all those little tiny things were this example of God that I couldn't see. And so this wasn't like that religious thing. It was finding that spiritual thing. And but the action is what led me to that higher power, to know that there's this presence available to me that I can't do on my own. And thanks. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Marianne. Whoops, there you go. There you went. You moved. Marianne?
Yeah, hi, Marianne, alcoholic. I identified with that paragraph too, because when I first came in I guess about a year, I was going through the steps and had gotten to fourth step. And my sponsor was very much into the God, reference all the time, and I was not. And but I believed in the group. The group of junks was good enough for me. I was lucky. My sponsor, put up with me. She didn't expect me to model everything she said, and I put up with her, and I listened to her, even though I couldn't identify with all her God references. But I was scared of the fourth step because I had been in counseling before for other things related to my children, and in counseling, I was always told things I didn't want to hear. So the thought that I was going through, sobriety with no alcohol to sustain me through listening to things I didn't want to hear was a little off-putting. But I believed in my sponsors believing, and that's really what got me through. Thanks for letting me share.
Thank you so much. Jen?
Thank you. I wanted to point out the last bit here. Our liquor was but a symptom. So we had to get down to causes and conditions, because when I first started doing this step, I didn't know that alcohol was just a symptom. And so that was really, really big for me to look at. I was afraid of step 4, and I knew I had to get through it, but I was terrified of it. But reading that part really made me think, okay, if it's not the liquor, then what the hell is it? And I better get through that stuff. It's that really freaked me up right there, to know that it's a symptom of something else, because I can't solve liquor, but I can solve myself. Thanks, ladies. Thanks.
Thank you so much. And we're going to go into that a little more detail in the next paragraph. Therefore, we started upon a personal inventory. This was step 4. A business which takes no regular inventory usually goes broke. Taking a commercial inventory is a fact-finding and fact-facing process. It is an effort to discover the truth about the stock in trade. One object is to disclose damaged or unsaleable goods, to get rid of them promptly and without regret. If the owner of the business is to be successful, he cannot fool himself about the values. So my favorite example is if you own a restaurant and one of the items on your menu is a strawberry spinach salad, and you walk into the walk-in freezer or refrigerator and you have a big basket of strawberries, and they're beautiful, beautiful strawberries, but there's 2 rotten strawberries in the basket. We don't take the whole basket of strawberries and throw them out because we found 2 rotten strawberries. So we do a little quick inventory of the basket, and we say, okay, these 2 strawberries are moldy and mushy, so we're going to take these 2 out and throw them in the garbage without regret. We're not going to say, oh, those strawberries were worth 50 cents each. Dang it. No, those strawberries are going to make that whole bowl of beautiful fruit contaminated, so we can throw those 2 moldy, yucky strawberries away without regret and be rid of them to protect the rest of the strawberries. This example is really good for 2 reasons. Reason number 1 is because we know those 2 moldy strawberries are going to make the other strawberries around them moldy, which is what resentments can do. They can spread to other areas of your life, but also because strawberries have a lot of seeds on the outside of them. So we are planters of God's seeds. So if my beautiful ripe strawberry has lots of beautiful seeds, I'm able to present it. And people are more likely to want to eat my salad because of the beautiful fruit I am showing on the outside, which plants my seed of God, love, and light in people, which is way better than serving mushy strawberries, which nobody wants to ingest, and my seed won't get planted. So this is my favorite example of this chapter and why it's a really good idea to do a thorough house cleaning. We want to get rid of our mushy, moldy strawberries, and we want to share our beautiful fruit of God and love and light with the world. Does anyone else have anything they want to share on that chapter? Nope. Okay. Oh, Megan. Thank you, Megan. Go ahead.
Just really quick, I have, by starting step 4 is confirming step 3. So once we've moved on to step 4, we've done step 3. Like that's just confirming it. And then under the fact finding and fact facing, I have written right above fact finding is searching, and then fact facing I have fearless on top of that because it's a searching and fearless moral inventory. So, yep, that's all I got. Thanks.
Thank you. Laura?
Hi, I'm Laura. I'm an alcoholic. I focus on that same line about the fact finding and fact facing. My first, traveling through this step, that never registered to me because I was so deeply emotionally connected to all of my shame and all of my, mistakes and all of the people that I had hurt and how I felt about myself. And it was just like, step 4 for me was like I could sit around and write about, what a piece of crap I was forever and never ever find the facts, never ever be able to separate myself out, to be able to find, only the moldy strawberries, because to me it was, I was a whole bowl of moldy strawberries. I love that analogy. And I just wanted, for me, this is like to me the incredible value of a sponsor who is not emotionally attached to my stock and trade, to the things that I am taking a look at, and is able to separate those things out for me and just show me what those facts are. That it will make it, that effort to discover the truth and not my twisted perspective, because my thinking wasn't really, in that place of feeling okay about myself for some time until I'd done some of this work. So I love that they point that out and make it really clear. It's about facts and not about what my perspective of that is. Thanks for my sobriety.
Thank you so much. A question is asked in the chat, and it says, so by this time, does a sponsee need to believe in God or just express even a willingness? So for me, my answer to that question is you still just need to express a willingness, because this process is going to get rid of those things that are blocking us from God, which is going to further enhance our belief in God. And as you go through this process, you grow in that belief. And that's my answer. There may be more. Mary Ann S.
Hi. I have above a business which takes no regular. I have ongoing inventory. Usually goes broke. And I have above that, I am spiritually broke. That's what I'm trying to get with this. So once I've decided that this is the way I've got to go, then I just keep moving forward. My sponsor, or the person who took me through this book, had a prayer for courage. Ask for honesty to have courage and the courage to be honest when I go into this step 4. Anyway, that's what I have. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Leslie P. Whoops, hang on. There we go.
Morning, Leslie, alcoholic. When I first came into the program, I couldn't figure out, why I had to go back and revisit all the shit of my past. And I didn't want to go there. I figured, I quit drinking. It's good. Let's go on, start reading, going to meetings, and just forget about all this other crap. And so then I started doing step 4 with my sponsor. And I realized that there was so much shit back there that I had just covered up and started drinking to forget. Things that you know, that I would have never even thought about, you know, abandonment issues as a kid, rejection issues. Like, I just kind of, as an adult, I just kind of let all that shit go and say, well, that's ancient history. I ain't going back there anymore. But it's like a surgeon taking that scalpel and cutting out that cancer deep within you. If you don't get it out, and if you do not keep kind of like revisiting it, making sure it's healing, then it'll just fester. So that's what I realized about step 4. And I mean, I didn't finish all of my step 4. I don't feel that I did, because there's a whole lot more. I mean, I got to the first 21 years. And then, you know, I turned my life over to God, and then I took it back and went on my merry way. So now here I am again, revisiting it and working on the steps. But I really find, like, I've never, ever felt that the AA program, I never felt that the connection, the spirituality of the AA program, until I started doing these Zoom meetings and really studying this big book. So I really got to thank you for that. Thanks for letting me share.
Thanks so much, Leslie. Sharon.
Morning, I'm Sharon. I'm an alcoholic. I was in such a stupor for a long time when I first came into the program. In fact, really didn't get to this point in working my steps until I was into my second year. But even then, my brain was just fried. And, you know, talking about this reminds me that I fortunately got a sponsor who had a structured program, and she kept me moving forward. But it reminds me that it's the physical steps or physical footwork that I take and do that lead me to having a spiritual experience. And for me, you know, one aspect of a spiritual experience is gaining some understanding, gaining that relationship with my higher power. So, you know, it didn't all happen at the beginning. It happened over time as I continued to focus on my steps. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Whoops, I hit your button again. Sorry. Kelowna. Kelowna in Hawaii.
Yes, hello everybody. It just hit me with this a little gem that I heard from a woman with a lot of years in AA. She said, uncover, discover, and recover about this step. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, let's look for any waving physical hands. Oh, I don't see anyone waving at me today. All right, let's keep going. We did exactly the same thing with our lives. We took stock honestly. First, we searched out the flaws in our makeup which caused our failure. Being convinced that self, manifested in various ways, was what had defeated us, we considered its common manifestations. Resentment is the number one offender. It destroys more alcoholics than anything else. From it stem all forms of spiritual disease. For we have been not only mentally and physically ill, we have been spiritually sick. When the spiritual malady is overcome, we straighten out mentally and physically. I'm going to pause right there, and I'm going to try to explain this, because some of you may have heard the boys in the other Big Book study talk about it being a twofold illness. And some of you may have had it explained to you that it's a threefold illness: a spiritual malady, a physical allergy, and the malady of the mind. So hopefully we can sort it out for you right now. So here it says, resentment is the number one offender. It destroys more alcoholics than anything else. From it stem all forms of spiritual disease. So the spiritual diseases stem from the resentments. So this is where the spiritual malady comes from. The spiritual malady is as a result of these resentments you hold. So at the top, it said, our liquor was but a symptom. So if you can piece that together, because they said, my liquor is my Band-Aid. I have all these problems and I drink to put the Band-Aid on my problems. So your resentments are from where the spiritual malady comes. And we drink to fix that spiritual malady. That's our solution. So when we take the alcohol away, we no longer have a spiritual solution or a solution to our spiritual malady. So we need to fix that here so that the spiritual malady is removed so that we can straighten out physically and mentally. Because had we not ingested the alcohol in the first place, we would not have triggered the allergy and had the malady of the mind. So if we had never taken that first drink, none of those things would have happened. And it's the resentments that bring the spiritual malady, which we drink as a result of. Does that make sense to anyone? Yes. Okay, let's discuss that. And then we're going to move on because the next is where we get the good stuff going. Hands up about the spiritual malady, resentments being the number one offenders. Resentments are what will kill you. Kim P. Kim, you're unmuted.
Hi. Hi, my name is Kim. I'm an alcoholic. I was going through the big book with somebody, but that's the first time that I had it breaking down to me that is my resentment that I'm trying to cover up, which I have a lot of them. I have a whole bunch of them. And because of I'm not even going to say because of that, June the 8th would have made it 2 years that I had, but I drank Saturday past, so I relapsed. But to me, I know that this program is a spiritual program, but I've never felt that connection to my higher power. I don't know how to explain it. I thought that I wasn't fearful of them anymore, but I think I'm fearful. I think that who is this God that allows me to suffer? And I know that some people say that a chair can be the higher power. But me growing up in a non-denominational church where I'm going to hell, fire, and brimstone with the heck out of me. And if I don't do right, then I'm not going to go to heaven. And I can't get that out of my mind to allow my higher power to help me get rid of these resentments because I don't trust them. But for you to say that just rang a bell with me, like it's the resentment that I'm trying to cover up. But how do I get to that place of spirituality to let my higher power help me deal with those resentments?
Kim, is this your first time here, Kim? Is it your first time in this ladies' big book group? Kim,
and I know we all been through some tough stuff. At this meeting, yes.
At this meeting, yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So This is a really good time for you to join us, and
Yes.
I am so glad you're here. And I just want to explain something really quick. So you are bang on right that the resentments are what's making you spiritually sick, and what it says in that first paragraph.
This is my first time.
Yeah. So what it says here on the first paragraph, it says it gets rid of the things that have been blocking us. Right? So these resentments are what's causing your spiritual disease, and that spiritual disease is what's blocking you to God. So if it's your first time here, we tape this, and you can listen to all of our talks on YouTube. Listen to number 18, 19, 20. Della, can you put this in the chat? 18, 19, 20, 21, and 22. That's our talks on God and we agnostics, and that'll get you caught up to here, where we are going to remove those resentments, which will solve your spiritual malady, which will remove your blockage and upload you to God. Good day to come here, ma'am. I've got goosebumps all up my body right now. God bless you. You are in the right place. Somebody put you in the right place today, I'm telling you right now. So you listen, Della just is putting it in the chat. We have this taped on YouTube. Listen to 18, 19, 20, 21, and 22, and that'll bring you God to here. And then keep coming back, and we're going to get rid of that shit for you. I swear, I apologize, ma'am. All right.
3 days a week. We're here 3 days a week.
3 days a week. And just stay on. We're going to keep going, but you keep listening, and then we talk after, too. We talk after, okay, love? I'm so glad you're here. Okay. Connie.
My name's Connie. I'm an alcoholic. First of all, for me, it took what it took to come to this point. And I try to tell people that say, well, I had this much sobriety and I had this much, and I say, you got to try to let that go. That's that demeaning part of us saying, like, my expectations is I should have done better, and this is for me. It was a process of learning. And, I'm just so glad that she shared, because each of us is that close to going out, each of us is that close in our sobriety living, in our with a sober mind. We think that the alcohol is the solution again. And so I'm so grateful that she's here and witnessing to us to say, like, it's alive and well. And that, this inventory process, for me, you grow up and you live the best you can with the best of ideas and, the best you can with what you have. And there was no looking. So the way I reacted, I didn't think about me being angry. I'm like, I'm not angry. What do you mean mad or I'm ageful? What do you mean? I'm not envious or I don't have abandonment issues. Like, putting those labels on me was like, what? And this, we come at it from an entirely different view. We don't come at it from my view. I don't come at it from my sponsor's view. It's a spiritual view. It's so much bigger than me to say it's okay to have these thoughts and those ideas and experience these, but you don't have to live in that. There is a freedom from that you can, for me, that I can live with those hurts and past damages, but I get to separate myself from it because now it is carrying me. My entity is carrying me and helps me, encourages me that in the midst of it, because for me, what I found is, even though I do the steps, even though I do the process, those same abandonment or that little girl voice, that justice, that don't shut me down, they rage inside of me at a certain point. I'll be going along fine, and then something financial will happen. It's for me to go back to a human person that I trust, that has these tools to remind me that, yes, those are the human failings that happen in life, but there's a spiritual goodness that you're a part of, Connie. Remember, you're part of this. And that's the encouragement that I give, that it doesn't matter. For me, I can't look at, well, I should have had this much more, because I didn't. I had what I had to get me to the place of willingness to say, like, I don't know if there's a God. I don't know if there's a power. There's some entity, and I'm just going to trust you to help me. And, so I'm just so grateful that we're all here and I'm learning. So thank you so much. Thanks.
Thank you so much. And it's really important to remember we did the best we could with what we had at the time. And now our job is to get the tools to do better today. And then do even better tomorrow. And then just keep doing better each and every day. And that little bit of better eventually becomes great. And then we get to pass that greatness on to someone else and make their lives a little bit better one day at a time. Wendy.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Did I unmute? Okay, cool. Wendy, alcoholic. Kim, I just gotta say, I mean, as usual, so much stuff you say is so helpful. But that what you said about the spiritual malady and the malady and all of that, like I'm gonna listen to it again because my brain was kind of like, whoa, this is big. I'm not sure I'm getting it all, but I really appreciate it because I am kind of getting it. So I just have one question. So the resentments are causing the right word. Resentments are causing the spiritual malady. Is that a human thing or is that an alcoholic thing? Am I understanding that right?
That's a human thing, but alcoholics don't handle it properly. So we've talked about that earlier in the book where it gave the basic bedevilments, and most normal people can handle when life happens, but we are just maladjusted to life somehow, and things pile up on us and we can't fix it. We just have a different way in our brain. I can't explain it better than that.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome. And if I had more brain cells, I'd remember page numbers like Joe, but the bedevilment, someone else will know the page numbers and will pop it up. But that's the human condition. Humans have troubles and most humans can deal with them, but alcoholics, we let them pile up. I'd rather pay my rent money to the bar than to my rent, and then I don't have rent money, and then that problem gets really, really messed up. Yes, we are special. That's right. Janet.
Okay, hi. Oh, wait.
You're
Can
good?
you hear
No,
me?
yeah, I got you.
Okay. Hi, Janet, alcoholic. So resentments was a huge thing for me, like huge. Like in my previous recovery, I don't even know when I started building resentments, but I didn't even notice that I was building them. Right? I just became irritable all the time, right? I was just irritable all the time. I was judgmental. I was critical, and I was just telling people that I was just really blunt and I'm just really honest. But I was actually just, spewing my venom onto like other people because I was so unhappy within myself. And just like this past weekend, I had these resentments come up, right? Like I had a resentment against my neighbor. And so like people have been doing like this ninja thing, right? Like dropping stuff off at people's doorsteps and everything. And I saw she had a ninja package and she hadn't picked it up, right? And I was like, fuck that bitch. Oops. I don't like her. She doesn't deserve it. So I went and I grabbed it. And then I got it in my house and I was like, my heart was racing and I was like, I was sweating. This is how I know I'm getting better, because I'm sweating when I'm doing something wrong and my anxiety is so high. So whatever, I felt like crap, went and put it back. But then all night my head's like beating me up. It's like, I can't believe you did that, Janet. You have like over 2 years. Like, what are you doing? You should know better by now, blah, 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 blah. Right? And then it's like, I carried it for a couple days. And then I finally told somebody and she was like, you're human. Progress, not perfection. Right? And that was really, really hard for me. I'm going to start crying because I beat myself up so much in my previous recovery for not doing things right, for not doing things perfect, right? Because I figured because I had double digits that I should be at this higher level of recovery and spirituality and everything, and I wasn't. And then now it's like at 2.5 years, I'm kind of like, I feel like I'm a baby again and I'm unthawing and all this stuff. And, I even had a resentment against I had a resentment against this one meeting because they kept asking me to share and then something would happen and then I wouldn't get to share. So I was like, screw that meeting. I'm not going back to it. Like, they're so messed up. They got all this stuff going on. Like, they're so not running it properly. Like, they're doing this, they're doing that, right? All these resentments I had building up. So this morning I went to that meeting. My resentment's gone. You know, like, it was because, I don't know, it's just like I go to the meeting and everything's fine. Everything is fine, you know. And I spoke to a girl, you know, about my stealing this past weekend, and she was just like, why do you resent this person? And I talked about all the reasons why I resent this neighbor, and then it seemed so ludicrous, right? Once I said it out loud, it was completely ludicrous. And I actually have developed like compassion for this woman now. So, you know, God is good. This book is good. People are good. Like, if you have something going on in your head, please don't keep it in. Share it, because then you will see how, I don't want to say stupid, because my resentment was really stupid, but ludicrous and deluded we can be when we keep stuff inside. And when God works through other people and tells you what you need to hear, it's amazing. So thank you.
Thank you, Janet. And it's not stupid, because I have the same thing, right? That's the thing. Like, we can go, oh yeah, me too, right? But that's where we get to master our resentments in this process, and we get to be able to see them coming. So for me, I kept being added to the ninja groups, and I'm like, I know myself good enough that I'm going to see someone else post their ninja stuff and I'm going to be jealous of what they got and say mine wasn't the same. So I said, please don't add me to this group, because I know what I'm going to do. And I'm like, I don't need to be ninja'd. I can go buy myself a chocolate bar. Leslie will explain it after the meeting. Sherilyn? Gotta unmute your side, Sherilyn. Sherilyn? Okay, we'll come back. Donna, R? Donna?
Got it. Okay. Hi, I'm Donna. I'm an alcoholic.
Hi.
I just wanted to mention that, you know, when I first came in and did my fourth step, you know, I was mad at God and I was blaming everyone else for my failures, my problems, my jealousies, and, you know, all the mental and physical things I had wrong with me. And it wasn't until I did my fourth step that I realized they were all resentments. And once I started getting to know myself and working through all those resentments, it just made me get to know myself and dig deeper and deeper into everything that was, you know, just not wrong with me, but all my character defects. And it was just amazing to me that, you know, we did have touched on a lot about the, you know, alcohol was but a symptom. And, you know, my spirituality improved, my conscious contact with God improved, and my mental attitude improved, and just everything improved once I got sober. And it's just amazing how much resentments can mess up your thinking. So thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, we lost Sherilyn. I don't know where she went. All right, any last? Oh, Gloriana, thank you. Gloriana?
Hey,
there.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Hey, hello, ladies. How are you? I hope all is good. I love everything that was shared so far. There's so much honesty, and I love everything. I love the paragraph before about the strawberries, getting rid of the rotten ones to keep the good, the greater good of everything. And I really think the miracle of recovery is so much about self-discovery, and it's an ongoing process. I'm listening to this, and I'm identifying with so much. And, you know, here I've worked this step many, many times before, but boy, oh boy, it really is. I love that uncover, discover, recover. And I realized, oh my God, you know, there's so many things. I don't want to get into all of them, but, you know, I went through a thing yesterday. I was really not in the best place spiritually. And, you know, thank God I'm here and I'm able to really uncover and discover and recover from what I was feeling, and I understand what I was feeling, and but it's an ongoing process. Sometimes, you know, even if you have time, you go through challenges. It's like spiritual challenges that are thrown at us in order to grow spiritually. I guess that's all I have. Thank you so much. Thank you, Kimberly.
Thank
I
you.
love
Hi, Zuzu. Hi.
Yeah.
All right. Last chance for talking before we get into a really good sentence. Just one sentence, maybe two. All righty. Okay, here we go. In dealing with resentments, we set them on paper. You ready for this? We listed people, institutions, or principles with whom we were angry. All right, those are our two sentences. We list them on paper, the people, institutions, or principles we were angry with. If you are doing this process with a sponsor, you may want to see how they would like you to put it on paper. I'm going to give you how I put it on paper and how I walk my girls through it. You can choose to do it my way, or you can do it the way your sponsor recommends. It's up to you. I'm going to show you my way. So we start with putting on paper people, places, and things. Now, I'm sure we're going to have some discussion about what people, places, and things are. People are easy. Oh, the people. So these are people with whom you are angry. So if you can't think of somebody you're angry with, please don't like force yourself to. It's like, okay, think, who am I angry with? Okay, put them down. So this is how I set up my paper. And yes, I've already taken a picture and I will post it on the group. So this is the way we set it up for my girls. We have 5 columns. Column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4, which is divided into 2 sides, and we'll explain it when we get there, and column 5. So all we're doing today is column 1. This is your homework for Friday. It's Wednesday. Yeah, Friday. Column 1, people, places, and things. So for my example, which I will be using throughout, which is the same example I use everywhere, and because this is going to be recorded, I won't use the name, and it says ex-boyfriend, McDonald's on St. John's, and gas prices. So there is a people, a place, and a thing. A people is my ex-boyfriend, a place is the McDonald's on St. John's, and a thing is gas prices. So for people you're angry with should be the easiest. Exes, those girls in high school, gossipy coworkers, the family members, the neighbor. People. Places, the grocery store with the crappy parking, the McDonald's, I'll tell you why on Friday. So places that you're upset with. Things, bank fees, government policies, maybe some laws that you don't like, gas prices, paper straws. Paper straws is one of my resentments. Things, policies, principles. We'll hopefully get some more examples. I do not follow the chart on page 65 because I like to go in order. So we're just doing column 1, people, places, and things. And it's called People, Institutions, and Principles in the book. Conversation on that, questions on that. This is your homework for Friday. Connie. Oh, I will follow up. People say, how many do you need to have? There is no rule for that. There is no rule. There is no set number. I was once upon a time told 10 resentments for each year of your life. I'm 42. That would be 420. They said cut it in half if you've previously done steps, but there is no rule of how many you should have. Not a less number, not a big number. I like to say a good sampling, if you're really stuck, is try to have at least 5 of each if you're stuck. You should be able to have way more than that. But if you're stuck, just to get a good snapshot of your resentments, because they start to repeat, we'll see as we go. 5 of each is a really good snapshot, but try to get as many as you can. So Connie?
Thanks. My name's Connie. I'm an alcoholic. And for me, I stuck with the format, the line, but I couldn't put a face or a name to some of them. But I could, for me, based off of emotions, I could deal with my emotions first or the incident, what happened. And then it would fan out to who I was really mad at. And sometimes that list wasn't the person who I thought. You know, I would be angry at the perpetrator, but it was the adults in my life that weren't aware. You know, had they been aware, and then of course it was me that I didn't speak. You know, so sometimes for me, I deal with emotions or more to the forefront, and thankfully wound up getting all filled out like a quilt. But I had to do it kind of patchwork type. And you know, each of us is different. We have really strict sponsors, and we have really good guidelines, and we have freedom. And for me, I needed a little independence and freedom to do it the best I could, and I offer that to people that I work with. That, you know, if you deal with emotions and remembrance, do that memory, and then you will peel it back to who, and that might expand.
Yeah.
So I just offer that. Thank you.
Yeah, and we are here to support you through this. This is the number one purpose of that Facebook group, is to help answer questions, connect you with people to talk to. Of course, my number is always available. A question was, do they have to make sense? No, they don't have to make sense. They only have to make sense to you. Only to you. So if there is someone where you don't want to put their name down for whatever reason, you can make a code name for that person as long as it makes sense to you. You can cover anything on this list. So if you have a problem with sex, drugs, alcohol, gambling, eating, any addiction you have, you can put this all in one list. We don't have to do a separate list for eating, a separate list. Put everything on one list. We can deal with it all in one shot, because at the root of it all, we are the problem. These are but symptoms. All right, Yvonne.
Hi, I'm Yvonne. I'm an alcoholic. When I did this the first time, and like I've said previously, I'm kind of finishing up mine right now, but this sounds interesting this way. I had some items that it was like, well, I don't know if it's really a resentment or I'm angry or whatever. And I told my sponsor, they just kind of bother me. And she said she kind of likes that. So that's what she kind of went forward with. Even if they bother you, if it's something that just bothers you, put it on the list. It doesn't have to necessarily be anger or resentment, anything like that. Just if it's nagging you in the back of your mind, put it down. So, yeah, and I had things that it was like, oh, that's stupid, but it was messing with me, so I needed to put it down. So, with that, I will pass. Thank you.
Thank you. And just speaking on that, if it bothers you and you're asking the question, write it down. And think of the strawberries. If there's a little spot on the strawberries, you got to think about that one little mushy spot on the strawberry. Mold's going to grow there, right? And then that mold on that strawberry is going to start growing on the next strawberry. So if you think it or you're considering it, write it down. Might as well look at it and pick it apart. Another one says, question privately sent was, what if you've already made the amends to them and you have another resentment or a same resentment? If it's still coming up, write it down. If you've dealt with one and they're still popping up, write it down again. When in doubt, write it down. Joanne?
Hi, everyone. I'm Joanne, and I'm an alcoholic. And I want to make a couple of points. One is I love the way we're doing the 4-step, and this is the way I've done the 4-step of just making the list. Making the list. It's kind of like when you hike a mountain, it's one step at a time. And you can get, just by saying a list of people, places, and things, it doesn't feel overwhelming. And we do invite our higher power to come with us, because sometimes we end up putting things on our list, especially before the drinking. You think, oh, that has nothing to do with drinking. And I'll tell you something, I put on my resentment list the Girl Scouts and the little brownies, the really young ones, because we submitted an application and I never got an answer. And my siblings told me, oh, they rejected you. Okay. So, but it wasn't so much that it's, it's the brownies, it's the girls, but how I took that malady, how I took that distortion of information and integrated it about how I felt about that organization. Like, screw them, but once I started to look at the cause, and we're not there yet, I could kind of look deeper. But to be able to have the courage, and that's where the serenity prayer is, to have courage to just, if it feels unsettling when you think about those people, places, and things, just put it down. Because you will be amazed before you are halfway through, like, holy crap, I didn't expect that to come out. And that had a major effect on how I felt about later things in my life. So, but always remember that you invited your higher power, and for the ladies in this group, you got all of us. So you not have to do this alone. You think it's scary, you might, especially if it's your first 4th step, but it's just facts right now. It's just facts, and we're all here for you. That's it. Thanks.
Thank you. And I'm just going to give you a brief little example on why we write it all down. And I'm going to use this example later and embellish on it. So just say I wake up late in the morning and I'm rushing because I have an appointment that I don't want to go to. There's the little resentment, an appointment I don't want to go to. Then I stub my toe on the foot of my bed. Ooh, that damn bed, it's always in the way. I should have bought a different bed. And then I run and I go through the McDonald's drive-thru and it sets me late and it ticks me off. And so that, like, there's 3, I'm just grumpy as heck. And then I get to that appointment and that girl at the desk is, you know that girl at the desk, right? And then I come home and my partner's left his shoes at the door again. And now I've lost my mind. So do you see how 5 little tiny things throughout the day have added up to a big old crappy day? So these are how resentments can affect us. So this is people, places, things, principles, ideas. We get it all down if it bothers us, because combined, they can be a bigger problem than alone. Jenny D.
Thank you, Kim. Hey, Jenny, alcoholic. Just like what Joanne said, I love that you are doing this way, because really it's just so easy just to write the name. You don't even have to think about blah, blah, blah. This is the way I've done it, except for my first step 4, the person that showed me, and bless her heart, it was how she was shown. It came out of a treatment center. It was a book about this of questions, and there was some, and I basically dredged up every terrible thing in my life I'd ever done and every terrible thing anybody had ever done to me, and that was it. And I didn't learn anything from it, and I didn't grow from it. It was like venting to a girlfriend about your husband, right? Nothing, you feel a little bit better, but you don't grow. Once I learned to do it this way, my life changed. And if there's anybody here, it doesn't matter how long you've been around, I believe, my own personal experience, this changed my life, doing it this way. I learned what makes me tick, not just why I'm mad. So I'm just really, really grateful that you're doing it this way. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I did it the other way in various weird ways 3 or 4 times, and it was this way that changed my world. Marla.
I just wanted to know, can you hold up the paper? And this is perfect timing because yesterday, by accident, I dredged up something that is definitely a huge resentment, but I had tucked it away for about 10 years. So I can't wait to do this. All right. So, I see. Okay. So what's the thing under number 1?
People,
what's
places, and things.
Okay. Oh, perfect. Oh, okay. Very good. Thank
And
you
I
so
took
much.
a picture and I'm going to put it on the Facebook group. So there is the Zoom Ladies Facebook group. I just posted the links to the YouTube channel where you can find all the previous recordings. And because I'm stuck in this office chair for the rest of the day, today's will be posted immediately. And as well, the link to the Facebook page in which I will post this picture. And you can find us all for chat and questions and support.
Thank you.
We're not going to
Great.
tell you why 4 is broken into 2 parts until we get to 4. It's a secret.
Okay. Yeah. This is great. Have a great day.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay. Perfect, ladies. So that concludes today. We'll just